I've been walking that dead, quiet road. Dirt flat as a grave, sky pale like bone. Heat sitting heavy on my shoulders. Hope sitting lighter than a shadow alone. Ain't nothing moved, not a thorn, not a grain, like the whole damn desert was holding its breath. I stood still waiting for fate to nudge me, but fate just stared like it welcomed my death. Sun hung crooked like a tired executioner, boots cracked deep like they wished to quit. I muttered, I'm done, and the road replied with silence so thick you could bleed in it. I died on one step forward, heel grinding slow like grit on steel. That quiet dirt rose up with me as if it finally knew I was real. If the world wakes only to my motion, then motion is how I stay alive. If dust don't live till I drag these boots, then dragging boots is how I survive. If the dead still live, don't breathe till I move, something I'll supply. Cause if the world wakes only to my motion, well, motion's how I dust crawled up my legs like old memories, coating me in sins I thought I buried deep. Every grain was a witness to nights I fought my demons, half awake, half asleep. Then I heard the desert whisper, not kind, not cruel, just true. A man ain't lost when he falls down, only when he stays where he fell through. So I drag another step, then one more, knee burning, throat scratching, fire and sand. Road to get easier, but it damn sure remembered the weight of a man. Every step I took shook, something awake. Dust rose like smoke from an old burnt prayer. It didn't rise for hope, it rose cause I did. If the world wakes only to my motion, then motion is my salvation's name. If the dust won't rise for the man I was, then it'll rise now for the man I became. If the ground stays dead till my boots scrape fire, then fire's what my steps provide. If the world wakes only to my motion, yeah, motion's how I ride. You stumbled into that ruined chapel, moonlight cracking through the rafters like old bone. Dust fell slow, same speed as your breath, and you hit the floor hard like a man dying alone. The pews lean crooked like sinners at dawn, cross on the wall, tilting down on your fall. You whisper, guess this is it, and the wind answered by, saying nothing at all. Your chest burned cold, your pulse turned thin, your shadow stretched long like it wanted to leave you. But hell ain't greedy, it waits polite to see if a man's got anything left to prove. Then you tried just once to get back up, hand on the stone, knee in the dirt, and that broken bell in the tower hear one loud, no low, meaning honest as hurt. If rebirth earns a single toll, then rise loud enough for two. The dead don't ring for the hopeless, they ring for the stubborn in you. If the bell calls back your breath, boy, you answer like you're born brand new. If rebirth needs a second toll, then damn it, let it come from you. Oh, 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 you stayed up at that crooked tower, cold wind cutting through your coat like you. Bell rope snap, iron crack, but something in you twitched, and that's where resurrection's built. You pushed from the floor slow, like Stan woke up the whole church. The dust rose with you, the shadows bent with you, and the altar watched like it knew your word. You muttered, ain't asking for mercy, just a damn second try. And for the first time all night, the storm eased outside, just enough to hear your own breath not die. The bell didn't ring again, didn't he do it already? Said what the sky couldn't shout, get up or stay down forever. If rebirth earns a single toll, then rise loud enough for two. If the tower shakes at your second breath, then breath's worth fighting through. No angels came to lift your weight, just grit, just scars, just you. If the bell calls man back from death and hell, let it call back you. Ooh. Walk toward the door, slow, steady, saying under your breath like a vow, if rebirth earns a single toll, I'll rise loud enough for two. Midnight in the moss-soaked temple, boots wet, lungs tied, rain dripping through the ceiling like the sky got fire. Stone steps leaning upward in the pitch black air. I was carrying too much sin for that kind of stare. Every time I leaned back, ground turned thin, stone sank slow like it wanted me in. I cursed under breath, said figures of course, even these dead rocks know a coward's force. I took one weak step, half so, half doubt, and the stair dropped fast, trying to take me out. But when I shifted my way toward the dark ahead, it locked up solid like it'd rather see me tread. So I tethered that stone like a no sick friend. Step back, I'm sinking, step up, I ascend. Feel the moss whisper underneath my heel. Boy, you climb on fatal, you don't climb for real. If the ground holds only for the brave, then brave is the only way I rise from this grave. I've been living like a ghost with a heartbeat still, but tonight these stairs gotta answer my will. Yeah. Then scars from under my shirt. Chain rust stain, edges full of dirt. Mama said once you can run with your shame, but the Lord walks slow and he calls your name. I held that cross up to the wet stone wall, said, God, if you're here, watch me not fall. Don't give me no wings, don't part no sea, just make this rock honest when it deals with me. Still grown deep like a wounded beast, but it stayed right there, didn't drop an inch. I cut my thumb on the cross's edge, let blood drip down like a red raw pledge. I pressed that blood to the moss slick step, felt it warm up slow like a secret care. Devil in my head whispered, boy, turn back down, but the stone underfoot wore my courage like a crown. Every breath I took was a loaded gun, aimed at the version of me that runs these stairs. Weren't testing no muscle or bone, they were weighing the man I carry alone. If the ground holds only for the brave, then brave is the only way I climb from my grave. I've been drowning in a past that refused to die, but tonight these steps got a hold when I try. The dark only solid when I move ahead. I ain't living one more day inside my head. If the ground holds only for the brave, then brave is the only way I ride. I took one last look at the fall below, where the stone sank slow like a hungry shadow. I said to the void with a half-crooked grin, if the ground holds only for the brave, then brave is the only way I win. If the ground holds only for the brave, is the only I win. If the ground holds only for the brave, then brave is the only way I ride. If the ground holds only for the brave, then brave is the only way I storm crawled in from every damn side. Trees bending low like they didn't wanna hide. Rain hit cold, sharp like broken faith, and I stumbled through the dark, trying not to break. The woods felt older than God that night. Branches shaped like claws, roots twisting tight. I kept breathing heavy like prey on the run. Truth is, I was scared of what I'd become. And every time I tried to sprint through the black, the ground turned slick like a wolf slick track. No footprints, no path, no sound but me, just the storm, the dark, and the fear I bleed. I'm murdered on, dude, it's not tonight. And thunder snapped back like it knew I lied. The whole damn forest froze like holding breath, like it waited on a man I was scared to admit. If the wild guys only the steady, and steady's how I walk with the storm. No running, no breaking, no looking back, just standing tall in the flood and the roar. If the wild waits for the brave man in me, then brave is what I'm gonna fall. If the track shows stopped running, stood there still in the rain. Cold soaked through my coat, through my sins, through my shame. And that's when it happened, quiet as breath, sharp as truth. Wolf tracks burning silver right under my boots. They glow like moonfire born from the mud, like the ghost of a path carved out by blood. Each print pointed uphill through the roots and storm, toward a place you don't find unless you stand alone. I whispered to myself, you leading me, beast, but the forest stays silent as an old priest. No voice, no sign, no howl from above, just the sense that the wild don't guide fear, only resolve. The storm didn't ease, but I did. I found breath deeper than I ever hid. 'Cause a man don't rise when he flees a night, he rises when he plants both boots and fights. And a wild guy's only the steady, steady's how I walk the storm. If the ground shifts only when I panic, then panic dies where my boots get warm. I looked down at that glowing trail and said real low, like swearing to the earth, if the wild guy's only the steady, and steady's how I walk the storm. Fog rolled thick in that backwoods night, pine needles slick, moon nowhere in sight. He found a lantern buried under wet leaves, frame rust bitten glass cracked like old grief. Its flame barely flickered, weak as a dying prayer, cold blue like it crawled up from the bottom of despair. He held it up, whispered, I'm fine, don't worry about me. And the damn thing died instantly. Dark hit him hard, like a door slammed shut, left him alone with the truth he kept cut. He stood still, breath heavy like storm clouds hung. A man out of lies, out of luck, out of lungs. He said to the night, why you turn on me now? But the woods stayed quiet, wouldn't give him no out. Wind it blowed like it knew his sin, and the dark around him dared him to speak again. If truth feeds the fire, then the fire shows who you are. A liar killed a lander, leave you begging in the dark. He learned the hard damn way that the night don't fall for tall. If truth feeds the fire, then truth is what he was. He clenched the landing tight like a wounded friend. Said, alright, here it is, I'm breaking again. His voice cracked low like a ridge in drought. Words he hid for years finally crawled out. Oh, I ain't steady, I'm scared, I'm barely standing at all. I ain't strong, every sunrise I just answer the call. And the strangest thing, a spark hissed inside. Little green flame sneaking up like it never died. Oh, it glowed soft first like forgiveness shy. Oh, then roared to life like a soul that refused to lie. Branches overhead shifted like they bowed. Fog pulled back slow like it gave him the ground. The lantern lit the path that the dark once hid. Only after he said what he never did. He stared at that flame like a judge in court. Knew the woods weren't magic, they were making a point. A man don't rise on the lies he tells. He rises on the truth, he bleeds himself. If truth feeds the fire, then the fire shows who you are. A lie will kill the lantern, leave you begging in the dark. He found a light inside that only pain could spark. If truth feeds the fire, then truth is what he wants. He lifted that green flame high, muttered soft like confessing to the sky. If truth feeds the fire, then truth is what I'll burn with. The cliff was thin as a bad promise, just dust, loose stone, and wind blowing like it hated me. I walked careful boots, grinding grit, heart pounding like a church drum in a town that forgot God. Behind me the rocks started falling, one crack then another, whole pieces dropping into the black like the past finally giving up on keeping me. I didn't look back, hell, I was scared too, but I knew that sound, that was yesterday dying. Whoa! Every step I took forward held firm, every inch behind me felt a hell, felt like the canyon was talking straight to my ribs. I muttered, if you're trying to scare me, you're late. If the past collapses behind me, then forward's the only life I've got. If the stones fall when I freeze, then moving is the only kind of thought. If the world don't want me going back, then back ain't where I'm meant to ride. If the past collapses behind me, fight I fought. I reached the ridge with the path widened, hands shaking, wrist smoking in the cold morning air. the leather strap on my cross necklace felt it warm up like it remembered my name. I took one more step, then another, slow, stubborn, like a man signing his own resurrection papers. The canyon didn't fall this time, it waited, watching. If the past collapses behind me, then I ain't got room to crawl back down. If the cliff breaks when I hesitate, then hesitation's how a strong man drown. If the world burns every bridge I cross, then loss is just the price of being found. If the past collapses behind me, then forward's the only holy ground. Night storm tore the sky open wide, rain hitting hard like fist of bone. Lightning cracked so close to my boot, it split the dirt like a grave half grown. I didn't run, hell, I'd run enough from things softer than this stone. Stood there soaked in sky fire, breathing like a man reborn. Dust steamed around me, air buzzing me like a rattler song. If you're here to test me, you came damn late. The next bolt drop, straight down like God's own hammer, but bent sideways near my chest, sliding off like water off a stone. Respected the stand I made. If thunder respects my courage, then courage is how I breathe. If the storm steps around my shadow, then my shadow ain't meant to leave. If the sky bends for a man unshaken, then shaken ain't what I'll be. The storm walks with me. I kept walking that ridge of dirt, storm crawling behind like a wild old dog. Storm don't care who you were, just who you are. When the sky turns red, I look down at the ground, splitting cracks glowing like scars I carried inside. Said to the dark above me, I ain't noble, I'm just done running. Another bolt fled bright enough to carve my sins in gold, but it curved again, drawing a circle around my boots, as if saying, stand your ground. My heart kicked like a war drum, rain hit harder, hotter, steam rising off my coat, like I was forged in this hell. And I whispered back, and forge me, I won't step aside. The clouds paused, a whole sky listening. Thunder respects my courage, then courage is carved in bone. If lightning bends at my breath, then I ain't walking this world alone. If the storm waits on my decision, then decision is my creed. If thunder respects my courage, then courage is how I bleed. If thunder respects my courage, thunder respects my courage. The battlefield was quiet, just ash-busted rifles in a line, our helmets rusting like grave markers. He walked slow, boots sinking in soot, breath heavy like a man carrying his own past on his back. That's when he saw it. An iron mask, calf buried in great dust, cold as a shame he'd been running from. He knelt, touched it with two fingers, and the metal loosened, softening like warm wax holding a heartbeat. He whispered, hell, even steel's got more faith in me than I do. The mayor's been to his grip like a new man who ain't done fighting, even if he thought he was. Nashville off its edges like the battlefield was born to his breath. If steel yields to his will, then he ain't done shaping himself. If a dead man's mask remembers heat, then the fire in him ain't shelled. If iron bends for the broken, then broken ain't where he'll dwell. If steel yields to his will, then he's crawling out of hell. He held that mask in both hands, saw his reflection warped across the curb. Not a coward, not a ghost, just a man tied a line to his own bones. The wind came through, hot as judgment, kicking ash into shapes like old friends and old sins. He said out loud, if you're gonna test me, do it clean. The mask tightened slightly like an answer, like a handshake from the other side of faith. He raised it to his face, not to hide but to remember. He could bend the things meant to break him. His fingers dug in, reshaping the jawline, straightening the dance like he was fixing the parts of himself he'd long ignored. Behind him the battlefield hum, the low groan of the dead, approving the man who refused to be another body. If steel yields to his will, then he ain't done shaping his fate. If a mass softens at his touch, then he ain't too far gonna create. If iron bends for the fallen, then fallen ain't how he ends. If steel yields to his will, then hell itself might bend. Hit that riverbank at sundown, water churning wild like a beast on a chain. Cold cut through your boots, the kind that don't warn twice, the kind that swallows a man if he hesitates half a breath. Mist rolls off the surface like ghosts arguing which way you die. And you muttered under your breath, figured even nature wanna stop me. But the river didn't hate you, it just waited to hear who you were. You stepped forward once, water roared up like judgment, but in that one heartbeat, that one damn heartbeat, the river froze stiff under your foot, hard as a hammer steel, long enough for a single step, long enough to chew. If miracles last only a heartbeat, then a heartbeat's enough for you. If the world don't wait for cowards, but shifts for those who move, then step on the storm, walk on the doubt, cut through the fear you've been chasing down. If miracles last only a heartbeat, then a heartbeat's where you're bound. Oh, oh, you didn't beg the river to stay solid, you just moved, boots hitting that flicker of ice before it cracked back to hell water. Behind you, waves snapped shut like the past trying to bite your heels. Ahead, mist parted slow. Now for faith, for momentum, the river growled deep. There's something in it whisper, don't stop, not now. Another step ice, another breath break, another chance gone. You learn fast, the world don't end your bridges, just moments you gotta hit before they disappear. If miracles last only a heartbeat, then a heartbeat's what you take. If the river hardens for the bold ones, then bold is what you'll make. If the world gives ground for a second, then a second carves your way. If miracles last only a heartbeat, then a heartbeat's how you say. I walked that great wood trail at dusk, boots heavy, breath burned thin. Fog hung low like the world was holding its last damn whispering. A dead tree stood crooked in the path, bark split like a scar I knew too well. Looked less like timber, more like a gravestone waiting on my failure. I said under my breath, ain't the first thing trying to stop me. And the forest didn't answer, just listened hard. So I raised my chin, looked that dead trunk in the eye and growled, I ain't down now yet. Right then that damn tree leaned slow toward me. Just a breath, just a nod like it hurt the supermoon. If the dead bow to my voice, then my voice is worth raising. If the world bends for truth, then truth's what I'm embracing. If nature kneels at grit alone, then grit's my chosen throne. If the dead bow to my voice, then my voice is carved in stone. I step closer, not afraid, just aware that the world shows its signs. Only the men who don't flinch at shadows, that treated and move again. Just stood watch like a witness to the part of me I keep buried, the fight that don't die even when I wish it would. I touch the wood, cold as old bone, rough as all my mistakes. Whispered to myself, you bow, cause I spoke truth, huh? And the wind answered, not kind but fair. I walked past slowly, then a pile of my doubt pressed into that bog. Didn't pray, didn't thank it, just honored the moment for what it was. The world saying stand tall or stay dead. If the dead bow to my voice, then my voice is worth the pain. If the forest move a stubborn, then stubborn runs in my veins. If the world responds to will alone, then will's my weathered crown. If the dead bow to my voice, then I ain't ever bowing down, 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 down. Rust-bit iron stood tall in the canyon pass, bars thick as judgment, cold as my path. Wind howled through the cracks like a preacher with a sermon made of nails and no regrets. I pressed my palm to that gate. It didn't budge, didn't breathe, didn't care. Only stared back like a giant, saying, you ain't honest enough to come through here. Dust stung my eye, sun burned low behind me, and the world felt like it knew my name. Wasn't ready to be carried forward. I pushed with anger, I pushed with pride, and that gate stayed still like it damn near smirked at me. Then a sting on my thumb, a tiny cut I didn't notice. Blood slid down my wrist and dripped on the iron like a confession. If pain unlocks my path, then pain is part of my strength. 'cause my wounds know what I feel. That gate creaked open slow, not from force, not from rage, but like it hurt my blood say, I ain't hiding anymore. I pressed my hand harder, felt the sting burn brighter, and the metal warmed under my palm like it finally recognized the man touching it. I whispered to myself, you're done running from the hurt, and the canyon air answered back, cold and honest only when you face it, boy. I stepped through that open crack, boots scraping ancient dust, my blood drying fast on the hinge, a signature carved in rust. And behind me, the gate closed gentle, like it wasn't a prison, just a test I finally passed. If pain unlocks my past, and pain is how I rise, if wounds tell truer stories than any preacher's lies, then let the scars speak, let the blood sign my name. 'Cause if pain unlocks my path, then pain fuels my flame. Pain fuels my flame. Midnight wind cut sharp through that dead man's field, moon hanging low like it questioned what he felt. Boots sank deep in the soil, gone soft with sorrow, like the earth itself did him not to see tomorrow. Names on the stones glowed pale as ghosts, but the one he feared most was the one he carried inside. He muttered through cracked lips, maybe this is where I end. And the dirt swallowed his knees like it agreed. But when he braced his hands and tried to rise, the ground dried quick beneath his boots, dust lifting like it whispered back, stand or stay buried. Cold truth hit harder than any storm. Hell ain't under him, it's the part inside that wants to quit first. If the grave tests his will to live, then living's what he'll choose. If the dark don't claim a man, till the man decides he'll lose. And let the dirt come, let the cold winds bite, he'll speak his name through the night. If the grave tests his will to live, then living is his fight. Lightning flashed on a broken cross nearby, iron bent like it remembered every cry. He touched it once, a ritual, a promise cut from rust and bone. Shadows reached long, trying to pull him back, but he clenched his fist like he meant to stay known. He growled through his teeth, I ain't done, I ain't done, I ain't done. And the wind stalled and the soil steady, the dead themselves listening, the dead themselves listening. He took one breath and another, each one louder than the last. And the grave that tried to take him settled flat, as if bowing to his choice. If the grave tests his will to live, then living's what he'll claim. If silence waits for broken men, then he'll rise loud with his If death steps close but won't commit, then he'll walk right past its side. 'Cause if the grave tests his will to live, then living is his Gold morning fog crawl low on that forest floor. Axe in my hand, but my heart felt sore. That log sat still like a judge with no mercy. Mud on my boots, sweat stinging like whiskey. I swung hard, won't steel slick, grip slip. Knuckles tore open, blood running thick. Pain crawled up my arm like a rattler hissing, and the wood stayed whole like my strength went missing. I spat in the dirt, half cuss, half prayer, muttered, hell, maybe I ain't built for this. Wind didn't answer, just watched like it waited to see if I'd quit. But something in that cold green silence felt like it leaned down close and said, try again, boy, but mean it this time. So I wiped my blood, raised my head. If persistence breaks what strength can't, then persistence is my blade. If will cuts deeper than muscle, then will is how I'm made. If the world only splits for the stubborn, hell, stubborn's how I stand. 'Cause if persistence breaks what strength can, then persistence is my scar I ever tried to keep. Didn't swing wild, didn't chase rage. I swung like a man writing truth on a page. Steel kissed wood right where it failed before. And damn if that crack didn't open like a door. Now why not easy but real in mine? A thin white split like a guilty sign. I heard the forest whisper behind me. Not comfort, just consequence. You ain't stronger, boy. One more swing, clean and honest, and the log finally confessed. If persistence breaks what strength can't, then persistence is my blade. If grit costs deeper than anger, then grit is what I paid. If the world only yields to the try again, then again is how I rise. If persistence breaks what strength can, then persistence is my like grave markers. He walks slow, boots sinking in soul, breath heavy like a man carrying his own past on his back. That's when he saw it, a nine mask half buried in gray dust, cold as a shame he'd been running from. He knelt, touched it with two fingers in the middle, loosened, softening like warm wax, holding a heartbeat. He whispered, hell, even steel's got more faith in me than I do. The mask bent to his grip like it knew a man who ain't done fighting, even if he thought he was. Ash fell off its edges like the battlefield was born to his breath. If steel yields to his will, then he ain't done shaping himself. If a dead man's mask remembers heat, then the fire in him ain't shelved. If fine bands for the broken, then broken ain't where he'll dwell. If steel yields to his will, then he's crawling out of hell. He held that mask in both hands, saw his reflection, walked across the curve. Not a coward, not a ghost, just a man tied a line to his own bones. A wind came through, hot as judgment, kicking ash into shapes like old friends and old sins. He said out loud, if you're gonna test me, do it clean. The mask tightened slightly like an answer, like a handshake from the other side of fate. He raised it to his face, not to hide but to remember. He could bend the things meant to break him. His fingers dug in, reshaping the jawline, straightening the dents like he was fixing the parts of himself he'd long ignored. Behind him, the battlefield hung below, grown of the dead, approving the man who refused to be another body. If steel yields to his will, then he ain't done shaping his fate. If a mask softens at his touch, then he ain't too far gone to create. If fine bends for the fallen, then falling ain't how he ends. If steel yields to his will, then hell itself might bend. To his will, then he ain't done shaping his fate. If a mask softens at his touch, then he ain't too far gone to create. If fine bends for the fallen, then fallen ain't how he ends. If steel yields to his will, then hell itself might. The cliff was thin as a bad promise, just dust, loose stone, and wind blowing like it hated me. I walked careful, boots grinding, grit, heart pounding like a church drum in a town that forgot God. Behind black like the past, finally giving up on keeping me. I didn't look back. Hell, I was scared too, but I knew that sound. That was yesterday down. Every step I took forward held firm. Every inch behind me fell to hell. Felt like the canyon was talking straight to my ribs. I muttered, if you're trying to scare me, you're late. If the past collapses behind me, then forward's the only life I've got. If the stones fall when I freeze, then moving is the only kind of thought. If the world don't want me going back, then back ain't where I'm meant to ride. If the past collapses behind me, then forward's the only fight I'll fall. I reached a ridge where the path widened, hands shaking, breath smoking in the cold morning air. I turned just enough to see nothing left behind me but a river of dust falling into forever. Then I heard a voice, not human, not kind. Move, boy, or be buried with who you used to be. Maybe it was God, maybe it was guilt, didn't matter. Both spoke the same truth. I touched the leather strap on my cross necklace, felt it warm up like it remembered my name. I took one more step, then another, slow, stubborn, like a man signing his own resurrection papers. The canyon didn't fall this time, it waited, watching. If the